Okay, first of all, we need to be aware that each of us has the right to be online, to be ourselves, and to be safe online.
We need to have passwords on every single one of your devices. You'd be shocked how many people don't have passwords.
For heaven's sake, my nudes are out. And then police is coming after me. Can you imagine the trauma, the double trauma this person can go through?
And just from the get-go, that basic step, you're putting yourself at risk, because whoever opens up the account for you remains with your credentials, and it's rare that we think about changing the credentials after we open up the account.
How do we engage the different stakeholders in the cyber community to ensure we're all enjoying the internet?
Be aware. If what you want is a cohesive space, follow organizations that will create a cohesive space. There are very many in Uganda. There is CIPESA, that one will give you education about policies and legal frameworks. There's Defenders Protection Initiative. You can go to them if you've had an attack by a virus or a worm or malware. There are organizations, you just need to have a starting point. And once you open the door to a new type of environment, then the way the universe works, the law of attraction, more and more of that will start coming up on your newsfeed. More and more of that will start coming up on your profile. And that is more and more of what you're going to see. Like when I began liking the likes of Trevor Noah, or Paulo Coelho, Michelle Obama, Judith Hard, I began just seeing the type of women that I should be following online, both locally and internationally. And it's now less of me reacting and more of me learning from different platforms. And the annoyances are becoming more minor. And I think this is because of a deliberate choice to shape my online ecosystem the way I want it to look.
The internet, the beauty about the internet is that it levels the playing ground to some extent. So one of the things that needs to happen is a bit more interaction between the different players. We need to work more actively at removing the silos that exist offline. And in so doing, we allow far much more interaction between the different stakeholders and perhaps a bit more meaningful progress when it comes to creating a safer space for women online.
We have the Anti-Pornography Act. This one is even more problematic. Many women in Uganda have suffered this, But you know what the law does, and the interpreters of the law, is they come for a victim. Yeah? So that shows that they do not have the capacity to know, to investigate and understand who made the post. Actually, what they do is they re-victimize the victim. So the person gets more stress. For heaven's sake, my nudes are out. And then police is coming after me. Can you imagine the trauma, the double trauma this person can go through? It's unbearable. So this law is not really very hopeful for women who have suffered revenge porn, okay? We need to advocate for a law. Even with the existing one, we can use them, but then we need to advocate in future for a law, a comprehensive law that addresses violence against women online and ensure that institutions like police have units that address this vice, that people should be comfortable to run to police and they know that police is going to be helpful. Yes.
Okay, first of all, we need to be aware that each of us has the right to be online, to be ourselves, and to be safe online. With that most basic understanding, we can appreciate the laws that are in place. Of course, more conversation needs to happen around that as well. But we also need to come to the defense of those whose rights have been trampled upon online, which is either by joining a campaign or speaking out against affronts being committed against other internet users in the country and beyond.
You are an educator. How do you educate without expecting the backlash? Or the other way would, how do you handle education with backlash? Because it's a thin line. You have to educate and then expect the backlash, but you also do not want to be trolled because you're educating. How do you juggle the two?
I have a friend who told me something, and it has always stayed in my head. She told me this about 5 years ago. Lindsay, never think for your customers. Basically, do not assume before you post anything how people are going to react. Otherwise, you're not being true to yourself. You're just trying to follow Adam, Jane, Peter, Pan, and everybody in between. Start from here. Don't think for the public. The public will follow you if you are authentic. They might hate you or love you for it, but they will follow you. And there is nothing more important than being authentic to yourself. So if a backlash does come, I would not advise you to prepare for a backlash unless it actually happens.
Okay, we're lucky to be in a position that we don't get too much backlash, even at an individual level. That allows us to blanket those whom we are working with often, and sometimes these are very vulnerable or marginalized communities in society. Human rights activists, people who are sometimes, at the forefront of attacks from others. So we are in a position to provide a bit of an umbrella on the community that we work with, even in times of engaging through training, policy interactions, where we say these are the laws that can help you be online safely. These are the laws that can help you remain online in the event of one thing or the other. So it's a good place to be, especially in relation to such work.
I would advise you to learn to go with the rhythm, because that's life. Today you'll have a headache, and tomorrow you're going to be up in the air just feeling great and wonderful. So I would say share what you want to share and pause, wait. Don't react. Try to act. And when I say act, that is where authenticity comes in. You're not thinking for people, you're just putting yourself out there, putting your message out there. And if there is a backlash, you're doing something right. Because if you don't want to be criticized, do nothing. So it's painful, but it's also a part of growth. And over time, each person develops their own way to handle backlash. So some people are good at fighting back, pack a last until they are 6 feet under, while some people develop mechanisms for dodging the bullets. Then others decide to choose their potholes. It's very different for every woman. So you study your own online ecosystem and just decide what's going to happen if a backlash does come your way. Are you going to block? Are you going to mute? Are you going to shock that person by saying thank you? Are you going to roll in the mud? If you're going to roll in the mud, that's fine. Just decide how long you want to roll in the mud for and then stop rolling. Or you can limit your social media activity. That's something that also some people do, to maybe 2 hours a day. What I do and works splendidly is I disabled notifications for everything. So I do not get doing WhatsApp, doing Facebook, doing Twitter. So I'll just go online at any point in the day that I choose to and say, let me see if I have any work. Because for me, it's all about work now mostly. If I have any work on Facebook, and then I'll see 43 comments. And if I click on one comment and it's an insult, I'll just ignore any other comments from that thread. Because I don't need to be there. I said what I had to say. And if you want to abuse me, Sagara, I don't have that time. I'll move on to something else. So I choose my notifications carefully.